Hey everybody, today we're going to be installing a TV with concealed wiring. Once you know how high you want the TV to be, get out your stud finder, mark the studs. To find the whole stud bay I'm going to be running my wires through. So the TV I'm mounting is about the size of the space between the window and door trim. When the TV's retracted up against the wall, I don't want it hanging over the window, not much anyway. I don't want it hanging over the doorway or the door trim. I found my two studs. One's right here and the other one's right here. I'm not going to be able to put the mounting hardware on either one of those studs, otherwise the TV will be overlapping the window or the door. So I'm going to have to anchor it into the drywall right here, and I'll show you how to do that with some solid metal anchors that you can buy at the hardware store. All right, so I got two holes, one above the other, matched to the holes in the mounting bracket in the middle of the stud bay, and I'm just gonna widen these up a little bit. Put in these heavy duty anchors. So these things you can buy at the hardware store, and you could support a TV much larger than the one I'm putting in, and a variety of other very heavy things using these anchors. Have it positioned like this so that the head is parallel. Stick it in there. There is insulation inside, so it's kind of finding its spot there. I'm just pulling it back so that those metal pieces are flush on there, and then I'm gonna push this up against. In the wall, I'm gonna put the other one in. And I'm gonna push my piece up here and snap those off. All right, so I'm setting my top screw, and the screw is gonna pull that metal anchor back against the drywall once it's really up tight there, which I'm not doing quite yet. That's just to get it into position. Next, I'm gonna hang the bracket on that. So we'll just get that bracket hung right there. Basically, just screw that in the rest of the way. That's not in super tight yet. We'll have to tighten it up. We're gonna get the other one in, the bottom. Get that in a ways. Tighten this up by hand. All right, so the bracket's in. You can see, it swings around like this. This will be the position where the TV's right up against the wall. It can swing out this way. So, if I want to have my outlet now concealed behind the TV, I'm thinking I'm going to position it right about here, so it'll be as close to the center as possible. And I'm going to have one of the outlets in that 2-gang box right down here below, where I could get any interference from this arm swinging. So this is about where I'm going to put it. So I'm going to start by marking out the location where I want the outlet to go. This is going to be the box that I use, Old Work box. And the way you use these things is you position them where you want them. Right now, about the bottom half of this thing is below where I'd get interference from the bracket. And I'm just going to draw an outline on the wall. Rough outline here. And these little tabs, when I reverse this and put it in the wall, are what is going to secure the box to the back side of the drywall and hold it tight in there. So I don't want to cut out too much around this side right here. Probably just going to cut it off right at the tab, mark that spot. And over here, I'll just finish sort of doing a rough outline of this thing. Same goes over here. I really don't want to cut out too much from where this tab is going to be relying on strong drywall to hold the box in. So I'm just going to kind of draw this out here. This drywall I'm going to cut out. This drywall I'm going to cut out. But this tab, this area for the tab to hold in, and this area I'm going to leave in a bit more. All right, so I'm going to cut out my box hole now. I'm just going to use this Sawzall blade. You can use a Rotozip, Dremel, oscillating saw, manual drywall saw. This is just what I got with me. So I'll just try to stick it right in here. Conventional drywall, kind of wiggle it through. Got a little bit of forgiveness and cutting not exactly the right spot because there's going to be a switch plate cover over this thing. So this thing basically turns green when it gets to the right spot. And I'll tell you which breaker is the one you're interested in. It always gives some false positives to start until it's been up and down the line a couple of times, but I think we're honing in on it here. So it's gonna be, I got one of these two. I don't know which one it is. I'm gonna flip both of them. Let's see what happens. All right, looks like I might have finally gotten it. Got my voltage tester isn't going off now, so there's no power here. And seeing as how I have the luxury to do so, I think I'm just gonna wait until daylight to finish this one up.
What are you doing, Garrett?
I'm stripping these wires. So this is the new wire that's running up the wall to the new TV outlet location that'll be concealed behind the TV. And I've just cut this box hole out of the wall, and I ran my wire fish tape up through this box, up through the wall. It's a little bit tricky getting through all of the insulation inside there. And I had to dig around with my hand in here and find it. And then I taped it onto the other end of this wire, which I'll have to show in another video, and pulled it all the way back through. So at the end, I had this wire sticking out down here. So the idea is the power that's currently going to this outlet is now going to not only power the outlet and whatever's downstream, but also this new outlet that's going to power the TV. So I'm just preparing this wire to connect to these ones. Next thing is going to be to disconnect these. Always disconnect the black wires, hot wires first. Keep your ground protection while you're working on them, even though the circuit's off. Those over to the side.
What happens if they touch one of these other wires?
All of the power is off to all of these wires.
Okay. So nothing would happen.
So I can touch this. I would, if the power was on, I would get electrocuted touching this, these metal components. But yeah, I've made sure that it's off. Next, unscrew the neutrals, the white wires. I could just unscrew the black and white wire that are the power source to this outlet and pigtail to the outlet, but I'm gonna connect all of these wires in the box and run a pigtail from that connection to this outlet. Okay, so I got all these wires, and since I'm on video, I'll do this the proper way and cut and strip new connections for all of them instead of bending those straight. About 3/4 of an inch for all these. If you were to look up in the box, you basically just want about a 1/2 inch to an inch of this sheathing coming into the box. You don't want a bunch of extra because it takes up a lot of room in there and makes it hard to work with all the wires. So I'm gonna push from the bottom while I pull from the top and try to take out some of that slack. Okay. So that's about even here. I guess I have a little extra, but we're just gonna let that slide this time. Okay, so I'm gonna get all my like wires bundled together here in the same spots. So I got my white neutrals, my hot blacks, my 2 grounds. The next thing is I need to prepare the pigtails. So I'm gonna do that with some slack from this wire. I don't need all this up here. So I'll just cut a chunk off that. And then strip off the sheathing. So, ground's ready to go already. And we'll strip both ends of these ones. Let's start with getting these grounds tied together. I gotta snag a couple of... So, to connect these wires, I'm just gonna bundle them together. gonna start twisting them to the right. I'll throw a cap on there. The cap, in this case, is just meant to lock them together and help ensure that they don't come apart. And you could, and maybe you're supposed to, use even more precaution and tape over the cap. But I'm not going to do that. Next, we'll do the neutrals. So I'm just going to get these roughly lined up with each other. Try to get them to be about the right length, so that the ends are somewhat natural in lining up. Okay, I'll just grab them with the tip of pliers and start spinning them to the right. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, that's crap. Try to smash them together a little more, the tip. And the cap's going to twist them harder. So you can see there's all that metal's touching each other. And I'll stick the cap on, start twisting. And that was my electrical tester turning off. It times out to save the battery after a while. So it's locking onto the cut ends and twisting the wires together more. Except in this case, I forgot my fourth wire that I need to add. So, amateur hour. Gotta throw that on here. Maybe back up this way. And that'll land just about right over here. Let the cap do the rest of the work there. Extra wire that I added in place so that it doesn't spin freely. Okay, so that's locked in there pretty good. I'm pulling on that. And I gotta get them all back in here. Stuff them back into the back. Or fold them, I should say. Neatly as I can. So that all these caps are going in the back and getting out of the way. And I'm left with black, a white, and a ground.
So for the white to touch the black in there.
No, they're all protected inside the caps. This is an old outlet that's covered in paint, so as long as I'm doing this, I'm putting on a new one. So black wire connects to the brass screws, white wire to the silver screw, ground wire to the green screw. Grab the tip of the stripped end, curl it over, grab the tip of the stripped end, curl it over, and curl that over. So in reverse of the way that we were taking it apart, I am going to attach the ground first, sort of a general safety precaution, just in case power somehow came back to this. That would help protect me. Let's get these two out of the way. Get that wrapped around nicely. Okay, ground's attached. Next we'll do neutrals. So I like to have the loop go around in the direction of the tightening screw, so that as I'm tightening it, it's, if anything, pulling more wire around rather than trying to spit it back out. The other thing that can be helpful. So you can see that copper wire is buried underneath the screw head nicely. And then I'll screw this in just so that there's a little less chance of it coming into contact with any potential loose wire in the future. Okay. Hot's the last one. Put it on the top because we did the last one on the top. And I'm going to tighten up this loop a little. Usually having to hold the receptacle and kind of pin the wire down with my thumb here at the same time to hold it in place. And again, the loop is going around the screw in the direction of the tightening screw, so that if anything, it's pulling some more wire in. Okay, I'll clean that up. Fine.
Oh, the other one.
Oh yeah. I'll do this too. A little sloppy. I don't want to have that sheathing totally buried under there. Needle nose pliers come in handy for this. Don't have mine on me. Just trying to get that in a little bit more of a real half circle. Okay.
Is this what they refer to as splicing?
No.
Oh.
Splicing. I don't know. I don't even know what splicing is. I don't splice.
Well, what is this referred to?
I call it like adding a run, or adding a
Okay.
just adding another receptacle to the same circuit. Now, at the top and bottom of this receptacle, there's screws that are sitting in there. One will go in this hole, one will go in this hole. That's all I'm doing now, is trying to line those up.